On February 20th, 2026, at exactly 10:47 in the morning, the United States Supreme Court made a decision unlike anything seen in modern American history. 6 justices, including conservative judges appointed by Republican presidents, looked directly at the President of the United States and ruled, "No, you do not have this authority." In that instant, a tariff system worth over $1 trillion, a system that had been shaking global trade for months, collapsed. But the most important part barely made headlines. Only 3 hours after the ruling, Donald Trump entered the Oval Office, signed a new order, and activated a completely different tariff based on a different law. And this one? The Supreme Court cannot overturn it the same way. If you own a bank account, a retirement fund, a business, or simply buy groceries, what happened on February 20th, 2026 directly affects your money, whether you noticed it or not. Stay with me, because by the end, you will understand what changed, why prices will still move, and what investors are already doing about it. Act 1. The $160 billion system that fell apart. For more than a year, the Trump administration operated the most aggressive tariff program in over a century. The legal authority used was the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA. It was massive. Under this law, tariffs were applied to imports from across the world: China, European Union, Canada, Mexico, Southeast Asia. The argument was simple. America was facing an economic emergency, and the president had emergency authority to act. Politically, it worked. Financially, it was enormous. Between the start of the tariffs and February 20th, 2026, the U.S. government collected more than $160 billion. Not a typo. $160 billion in less than 1 year. But that money did not come from foreign governments. It came from American consumers, American businesses, American workers. Every imported product, electronics, clothes, furniture, auto parts, food ingredients, carried hidden tariff costs inside the price. You paid it. Your employer paid it. Your local restaurant paid it. According to the Yale Budget Lab, the average U.S. household was paying an extra $1,300 to $1,700 per year because of these tariffs. Not a visible tax. A silent price increase built into everyday purchases. And another detail most media ignored. The tariffs were not just targeting China. They hit nearly every trading partner: Vietnam, South Korea, Germany, Brazil, Mexico. The goal was to force companies to manufacture in America and punish countries with trade surpluses. But there was a legal flaw. IEEPA was written in 1977. It was designed for sanctions, freezing assets and stopping transactions during foreign threats. It had never been intended for global tariffs on nearly all imports, and 6 Supreme Court justices decided that mattered. Act 2, the Supreme Court shock, February 20th, 2026, 10:47 a.m. Eastern Time. The Supreme Court released its opinion after months of legal battles. The core question: does EPA allow the president to impose tariffs? The answer, in a 6-3 ruling: no. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote the majority opinion. He was joined by an unusual coalition: liberal Justices Sotomayor and Kagan, conservative Justices Gorsuch and Barrett, a cross-ideological majority. The reasoning was straightforward. The law allows blocking transactions, freezing assets, financial restrictions. But tariffs, taxes on all goods, are different. That power belongs to Congress, not the president alone. 3 dissenting justices, Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh, argued the law was broad enough and courts should defer to the executive branch in economic security matters. They lost, and the markets reacted instantly. The S&P 500 jumped. Amazon surged over 2.5%. Alphabet rose more than 4%. Etsy jumped above 8%. Why? Because investors understood immediately. If the tariffs disappear, supply chains become cheaper. Companies recover margins. Consumers may see lower prices. For roughly 3 hours, the global economy believed the tariff era might be ending. Then Trump signed the pen. Act 3. The new tariff law. That same afternoon, Trump announced a new action. He would impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974. Remember that number, Section 122, because this law is completely different from IEEPA. IEEPA, the Emergency Authority. Vague scope. No clear tariff authorization. Section 122, passed by Congress. specifically written for tariffs, explicitly legal. It gives the president authority to impose a temporary tariff up to 15% when the U.S. has a balance of payments deficit. So Trump did not retreat. He changed legal strategy. 4 days after the ruling, to February 24, 2026, a new 10% tariff on almost all imports began. But here's the key detail. Section 122 has a strict limit, 150 days. After that, the tariff automatically ends unless Congress votes to extend it. This means the policy is not permanent. It is a countdown. 150 days from February 24th leads to late July 2026. At that moment, Congress must decide, extend the tariff or let it expire, right in the middle of political season. One of the most important economic votes of the year, and hardly anyone is talking about it yet. Act 4. What this means for your wallet. Let's look at real numbers instead of political slogans. Before February 20th, under the IEEPA tariff system, the Yale Budget Lab estimated the average American household was paying between $1,300 and $1,100 per year in hidden tariff costs. After the Supreme Court ruling and the replacement 10% tariff under Section 122, that estimate drops to roughly $600 to $800 per year, so the cost does not disappear, it becomes smaller. Your grocery bill does not suddenly collapse. Your car payment does not vanish. Imported electronics, clothing, and manufactured goods still carry tariff costs, but the burden is roughly cut in half. Now here is something even more important. The Penn-Wharton budget model released an analysis showing that once the IEEPA tariffs were declared unconstitutional, businesses that paid them may be owed refunds, not consumers directly. Businesses, importers, manufacturers, companies that paid tariffs under a law now ruled invalid, their estimate, up to $175 billion in potential refund claims. This will not be simple. There will be lawsuits, paperwork battles, years of disputes. Some companies cannot reclaim the money because they already passed the costs into contracts. But others can, especially small importers who documented payments carefully. If a business imported goods during the last year, this suddenly became a legal and financial issue worth discussing with an accountant or trade attorney. Act 5. Why China didn't get relief. Many people assumed the ruling meant a win for free trade. Not exactly. China's situation barely changed. Even before IEEPA, China already faced a 25% baseline tariff from earlier trade policies. IEEPA added another 10%, raising the effective rate to 35%. After the ruling, IEEPA disappeared, Section 122 replaced it, so China now faces 25% base tariff plus 10% Section 122 tariff, still about 35% total. The legal foundation changed. The economic pressure stayed the same, and Beijing noticed. China has already reduced U.S. Treasury bond holdings, restricted exports of critical minerals, gallium, germanium, antimony, expanded non-dollar trade agreements. Every move in trade policy creates a counter-move. The chess game is ongoing. Act 6, what the market reaction really meant. On February 20th, the major indexes rose. S&P 500 gained about 0.69%, NASDAQ gained about 0.9%, Dow Jones added roughly 230 points. But the real story was sector-specific movement. Amazon rose roughly 2.5%. That makes sense. Amazon depends on global sourcing. Lower tariffs improve margins. Alphabet rose over 4%. Google manufactures hardware, phones, smart devices, servers, all tied to international supply chains. Etsy jumped more than 8%. Many small sellers import materials. Lower costs restore profitability. Micron Technology, a semiconductor company, also climbed because chips cross borders many times before reaching consumers. Important warning, this does not mean you should chase those stocks. The new tariff only lasts 150 days. If Congress extends it, gains may reverse. If Congress lets it expire, markets may surge again. The lesson is not which stock to buy. The lesson is which sectors react to trade policy, retail consumer goods, technology, hardware, manufacturing. Watch those sectors as July approaches. Act 7. The global financial shift. This is bigger than America. Several countries, Brazil, India, and China, have been reducing U.S. Treasury bond holdings. Brazil down roughly 27% from peak India, down around 20% China, down from $1.32 trillion in 2013 to about $683 billion. They are not panicking. They are diversifying. At the same time, central banks bought more than 860 tons of gold in 2025, one of the highest levels ever. Gold has no government issuer. Tariffs accelerate this behavior. When trade becomes geopolitical pressure, countries adjust reserves. This affects you indirectly. If global demand for U.S. debt slowly declines, interest rates stay higher, mortgages remain expensive, car loans remain costly, credit card rates remain painful. Trade policy and borrowing costs are connected more closely than most people realize. Act 8, the 150-day countdown. Here is the timeline to watch. February 24th, 2026. The 10% tariff begins. Day 1 of 150, March-April 2026. Legal challenges appear but unlikely to stop the tariff quickly. May-June 2026. Political pressure intensifies. Import-dependent businesses want removal. Domestic manufacturers want extension. Late July 2026, Congress votes, extend or expire. This single vote could move markets significantly, and China will likely respond before then with economic countermeasures. Act 9. 3. Practical actions. Right now. No matter your income level or investing experience, 3 practical steps matter after February 20th, 2026. First, review exposure to import-dependent companies in your portfolio. Businesses harmed by the old tariffs may recover under the lower 10% structure, but uncertainty remains. Second, if you run a company that imported goods under the previous system, speak with a trade attorney or accountant about refund eligibility. The estimated $175 billion in potential refunds will create lawsuits, paperwork, and opportunities for firms with proper records. Third, track the 150-day deadline like an earnings announcement. Late July 2026 could move markets and prices. Preparation beats reaction. Closing perspective. February 20th, 2026 mattered legally and constitutionally. The court limited presidential emergency trade authority, but tariffs did not end. A new legal tool replaced the old one, and its future now depends on Congress. Prices will not instantly collapse. Supply chains will not instantly reset. What changed is the legal framework and the policy debate moving forward. Stay informed. Watch the timeline. Avoid panic and complacency. The economy is not ending. It is adjusting. Bonus. What it means outside the United States. For viewers abroad, the event sent 2 messages at once. First, the American legal system can restrain executive power, a sign of institutional stability. Second, policy direction can continue using different legal tools, showing trade remains geopolitical strategy. Countries building alternative payment systems, local currency trade, and gold reserves now have confirmation that diversification is rational risk management. The global financial order is not collapsing. It is gradually reorganizing. Act 10. Hidden winners and losers. Every policy creates unexpected beneficiaries and casualties. Hidden winners. Small domestic retailers gain slight price competitiveness when imports cost more. American furniture and textile producers receive breathing room, not salvation, but relief. Agricultural equipment makers face mixed outcomes, protected from foreign competition, yet paying more for imported parts. Trade lawyers, customs brokers, and compliance accountants gain heavy workloads processing refund claims. Hidden losers. Port cities like Los Angeles, Long Beach, New York, and Savannah may see declining shipping volumes over time. Fewer containers eventually mean fewer logistics jobs. Small importers lacking legal teams face heavier burdens than large corporations. Consumers purchasing electronics, clothing, toys, and furniture still pay higher prices, a modest but real cost. Act 11. The question. Few are asking. What if Congress lets the tariff expire in July? Companies will have spent 5 months pricing products assuming a 10% tariff. When it disappears, prices will not instantly fall. Margins will not instantly shrink. Competition will abruptly return. The vote itself becomes a market event, understanding that timing may provide informational advantage. Act 12. Lessons from history. In 1971, President Nixon imposed a 10% global import tariff to pressure currency negotiations. Within 4 months, the Smithsonian Agreement adjusted exchange rates and the tariff was removed. The similarity is instructive. A 10% tariff often acts as negotiation leverage rather than permanent policy. Allies may negotiate quickly, adversaries may absorb pressure and wait. Different supply chains will experience relief at different speeds. Act 13, the interest rate connection. Tariffs affect inflation. Higher import prices raise consumer price data. Higher inflation limits central bank rate cuts. If tariffs continue, mortgage rates stay elevated, loans remain expensive, savings yields stay higher, housing activity stays slow. If tariffs expire, inflation pressure eases. Rate cuts become more likely later in 2026. Housing may recover. The tariff clock is also a monetary policy clock. Final words: the rule that didn't change. The legal method changed. The strategic use of trade policy did not. Governments will continue using tariffs as economic tools regardless of administration. Understanding mechanisms, not headlines, prepares you for change. February 20th, 2026 began a 150-day chapter, not the end of tariffs. Watch the clock, watch Congress, watch global responses. Prepared observers adapt, surprised observers react. Practical preparation timeline. First 30 days, late Feb-March. Observe, audit spending exposure, avoid drastic moves. Days 30-90, April-May. Monitor corporate pricing decisions and congressional hearings. Final 60 days, June-July. Position based on likelihood of extension or expiration. The timeline is not a threat. It is a schedule. And schedules create opportunity for those paying attention.